this polynomial here. Any connection. It's the coefficients, okay? What goes inside of this little box thing, we'll talk about that, are the coefficients of your polynomial. What goes outside is what? We're dividing this by x minus 2. What is this number? How do I get it? It's that 2 right there, okay? So the inside are the coefficients of the polynomial. The outside is essentially what makes the divisor equal to 0, okay? So let's flip this over, and we're just going to practice one here. Oh, one other thing. Notice you still, if you're doing synthetic, where are we? You have to add the 0 in because it's x cubed and there's no x squared, okay? So this would be the x cubed. This would be the x squared. This is the x, and the 9 is the constant term. So we could put x to the 0 if you wanted, but you wouldn't. Okay, so you still need them to go down in decreasing order. All right, flip the page, please. We'll just do this practice one. So we're dividing 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 8x plus 15 by x minus 1. So the first thing, what makes that 0? Positive 1, right? So that's what I put on the outside. This is in fact called the a value because this is in general form, it's x minus a. Okay. I know there's lots of letters. It looks like it'd be x minus h, but it's whatever makes that 0, the a value is there on the outside. Then you look at the polynomial. Do the exponents go down in decreasing order? Are we missing any? We're not, right? So you just put the coefficients, 2, -3, -8, 15 in there. And then here's the process. First step is just to bring down the 2. Then you multiply this number by this number. So 1 times 2 is 2, and that's what goes there underneath the -3. And here's the big difference with synthetic. In long division, you're always subtracting. In synthetic division, you are always adding. Okay, so I add -3 plus 2 to get -1. Then this number gets multiplied by this number. 1 times -1 is -1. And then you add again. -8 plus -1 is -9. And then multiply the 1 times the -9, and you add. Then you add again, which gives me 6. Okay? Once you get to the end like that, this number is your remainder. We know what our divisor is. It was x minus 1, right? So we just have to figure out the quotient. Now, these are the coefficients of the quotient. Okay? We just need to figure out what variables go in front of them. Now let's think about this. We have a cubic function. We're dividing by x to the 1. So if you simply just went x cubed over x1, what would you get? X squared, right? So if you divide a cubic by a linear, you should get a quadratic. So this 2 is an x squared. It's 2x squared. What's the next one? What's -1? What variable? And what power? X. They're going to go down. So then it's minus x. And then the 9 is the constant term. Could write x to the 0 if you wanted. There's your quotient. 2x squared minus x minus 9. Okay? Way faster than long division. So if we're going to write it, we're going to write dq plus r. So our divisor is x minus 1. Our quotient is 2x squared minus x minus 9. And the remainder is 6. There you go. Okay. You're always adding. You just put the coefficients on the inside, and the number that's on the outside is what makes your divisor equal to 0. Okay, we're going to do another one. But you can do it in one step. Even a long one like this. So 5x to the 5th minus 6x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. We're going to divide it by x plus 2. And we're going to do it in this small space here. So you make, this is your synthetic division sign. It's like the upside down of a long division, I guess. What goes on the outside? What number? Negative 2. What makes the divisor equal to 0? Negative 2. Then we look at the polynomial. Do the exponents go down in order? Are we missing any? Yeah, we're missing an x cubed, right? We have to add that in. So we start and we go, okay, there's a 5. Give yourself a bit of room because the numbers are going to get big here. Negative 6. Then they should have an x cubed, so I'll put a 0. Then a 3, a negative 2, and a 1. Everybody okay with that so far? Then we do what we did above. First term drops down. 5. What do I do with that 5 now? Multiply it by negative 2 to get negative 10, which goes right below the negative 6. Add them again. You're always adding. Negative 16. Negative 2 times negative 16 is 32. Add again. Multiply again. Negative 64. Negative 61. Gives me 122. You multiply by negative 2. Add again, you get 120. You get negative 240 when you multiply by negative 2. And then you get negative 239. That is my remainder. Now, let's figure out the quotient. Remember, all these numbers here are the coefficients of the quotient. So we just have to figure out the degrees of each one. So the 5 should be x to the power of what? 4, right? Because we're dividing by a linear. So basically, whatever your degree is of your polynomial, when you divide by a linear, the degree goes down by 1. Okay. So this is going to be 5x to the 4, and then you just follow the line down, minus 16x cubed plus 32x squared minus 61x plus 120. And there's your quotient. That's Q. So dq plus r is going to be, which one divisor? X plus 2 times 5x4 minus 16x cubed plus 32x squared minus 16x plus 120 plus your remainder, which is minus 239. Does anybody have any questions? This is the way I would prefer you use it in this class, because this is how I'm going to do all my examples. I'm going to use synthetic. Because when we use this to start factoring, that's where all this gets used, to factor polynomials higher than second degree quadratics. You're gonna have to, you might have to do it multiple times. So long division is going to be huge, whereas synthetic is super quick and short. All I want you to do is number 2, just number 2, please. And then we'll look at some other info about this. Okay, come on. So we've done synthetic division if we have x minus a, linear factor. I don't like how they changed all the numbers here, or the letters, but essentially, what if we have a number, a coefficient in front of the x that is not 1? Okay. So we want to divide this by 2x minus 1. What you need to remember is 2x minus 1. If you factor a 2 out, you end up with this, 2 times x minus a half. This x minus a half matches what we were just doing. It's x minus some number. So what is my value that I would put out in front of the synthetic division sign here? What makes the inside of this 0? 1 over 2, or 0.5. So that's essentially my a value. And then you do the exact same thing. So drop the 2 down. What's a half times 2? 1. Add them again. Half times 2, 1. 5 and 1 is 6. What's half of 6? I like the hand signals. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. All right, so there's your remainder. My quotient, we're dividing a cubic by a linear, so it should be a quadratic. So this would be x squared, that would be x, that's the constant term. In fact, if you write it as dq plus r, this is it right here. Now, when you do this, where you factor out 2 here or whatever, your quotient is all going to be multiplied by a factor of 2, or whatever number you multiplied out. So we're going to pull a 2 out of the quotient, because they're all multiples of 2. So I pull the 2 out and I get x squared plus x plus 3. That 2 can then be multiplied back in here to give you 2x minus, which matches what we were doing at the beginning. So this 2, we're going to do another one of these. Goes into there, we get 2x minus 1. Our quotient is now this, and the remainder is still 2. Okay, so when there's a number in front of the x, essentially you factor out whatever that number is. So let's look at this one here. We're dividing 6x cubed minus 8x squared minus 5x plus 5 by 3x plus 2. So polynomial, do I have to add in any zeros? No, I'll go down. So I can just put my 6, negative 8, negative 5, positive 5. Okay, 3x plus 2. What am I going to factor out of there? A 3. The number in front of the x is what you're pulling out. What am I left with? x plus 2 over 3. Does everybody agree with that? Okay, what's my a value? I.e., what's the number that goes in front of the synthetic division sign? What makes the bracket 0? Negative 2 over 3. I know it's a fraction. Don't be afraid of the fractions, people. All right, you do the exact same thing. 6 drops down. How do we multiply fractions? And silence. Top times top, bottom times bottom, right? If you're going to do, we'll just do this one. Negative 2 over 3 times 6, that's like 6 over 1, right? 6 times negative 2, negative 12 over 3, which is going to give you negative 4. Shortcut way, when you're doing it with a whole number, as 6 is, just go 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, divided by 3. So negative 4 is what goes in the next space. Then you add. Negative 8, negative 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 times 2/3. Somebody said it. 8. Negative 12 times negative 2 is 24. 24 over 3 is 8. Add them together. Get negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 2/3. Why, it should be positive 3, shouldn't it? Just checking to see if you guys could do that. 3 times negative 2/3. Negative 2. 5 and negative 2 is 3. There's your remainder. What's my quotient? Come on, peoples. It's my quotient. 6x what? Squared minus 12x plus 3. So if we write it as dq plus r, this is our divisor, okay, because that's what we actually divided by. So it's x plus 2/3. The quotient, this thing here, is 3. Remainder is 3. That fraction is ugly, so what do I do? Look at the quotient. Is there anything I can factor out of the quotient? 3, it's always going to be the number that you factored out up here. So I'm going to get x plus 2/3. Pull the 3 out of the quotient. And then dump that 3 into there. So it should end up the same thing as what you had at the beginning, 3x plus 2. If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. Is that okay? I know we don't like fractions, but we're big people. We can handle them. We're in grade 12. 8 and 9, please. Just 2 questions.